welcome to today's class. So in this video I'll be talking about introduction to Git and GitHub. We had this class on 8th of March 2024 for Faraday Build Bootcamp, but why I'm recording my screen right now is because of people that joined but they had terrible network and couldn't get the best out of the live class, and also people due to one reason or the other we are not able to make it to the class, so they will participate actively throughout the whole bootcamp. This knowing Git is one of the tools that you'll be working with as a developer, both front end, back end, and other tech stuff you are doing. Is that's important. Okay, so this is a basic introduction to Git and GitHub. You're going to know the basic workflow of Git and know what is GitHub, know their differences, know how some basic GitHub Git command, know how to install Git, and know how to set it up. Okay, so let's get started. Git is a version control system that records the changes made over our code, made on our code over time in a special database called repository. So this is the definition of Git, of version control system, and according to what I wrote here, Git is the most popular version control system. Yeah, it's that popular that it seems as if like there is no other version control system in the whole in the world, but there are others. Okay, so version control system, I want to break it down into layman. So see, version, just like the name version, so we use it to version our code. Like they say that there is no complete software at a point. It keeps improving, right? Every day. Just a few weeks ago, Google told us that they have improved some things on their look and feel of their front page. So every day things keep adding on new features, so there is nothing like a complete software at a particular point. It's something that we have to keep improving. So it's very important that we keep taking tracks of the history, we keep versioning this, we keep having more improvements, keeping track of all these improvements over time. So that's what we mean by version control system. So then I'll have this. I want to do more graphical illustration on how life would be for developers without Git. So let's say that these are your code base in folder, and you see how we have different version here: 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. What this means is you have to be manually, let's say there is another developer that wants to work on this, you have to send this, maybe either mail or Google Drive or whatever you could use to share it. And another thing is, let's say for instance that somebody worked on this and another person worked on something different from what this person worked on. You have to manually add it together, like do manual check and to what's changed, and then add everything. And this is a whole lot doing this. Let's say you want to do this for 10 files, 10 folders, or lots of files. Like inside the folder there is lots of files, so it's going to take you a whole lot of time. Okay, so version control system like Git is very, very, very important, and it's managed things like this very well. Okay, so moving over to the next thing, we have version control system divided into two categories, and I want to mention this. It helps us track history and work together. So yeah, it helps us track our history and then work together with other developers across the whole world. Okay, so version control system falls into two categories. One is centralized and the second one is distributed. So in centralized we have Subversion, Microsoft Team Foundation. Distributed we have Git and Mercurial. So like I said before, Git is very popular, like it seems as if others doesn't exist. So for centralized we have this, like I mentioned that Git stores its data in a special database called repository. So this is a kind of how to think about the repository, right? It's a database. So in centralized they only have one repository, and every developer has to work on this and save their changes here. For decentralized, they all have their individual repository, and they after working on this, they can sync the changes together with each other. Okay, so one of the bad thing about one of the disadvantage of centralized is a single point of failure. So let's imagine that something happens to this repository. It's going to disable this developer and also going to disable this developer. But let's say something goes wrong with this. Maybe this guy, this developer mistakenly deletes his repository. It's not going to affect these guys continue. And matter of that, this person could ask for the latest change if they're working on the same project, and it could be shared to him. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, I've talked about the issue with centralized version control system. So talking about moving over to the next thing, we have various ways to use Git. So you can use Git either in command line interface, that's CLI, or you can use it either in GUI, which is graphical user interface. Okay, for CLI you can use your command prompt, Windows terminal, and Bash. Bash is kind of a specialized terminal. It's kind of mimicking, they built it to have a Linux style of doing things. Yeah, it's basically built for Git. Okay, so for GUI, some code editor has extension like for Git. It has it. I'll show you when I'm demoing, like when I get to that part. And also there's some extension like Gitkraken or SourceTree. They are very okay, and they show you everything graphically, and you can just navigate through clicking button or dragging and dropping, stuff like that. So you are not going to learn Gitkraken or SourceTree in this class. Like I said, it's an introduction class. Okay, so note, not all Git features might work on Git graphical user interface. Yes, not all features could work there, but they have like basic feature. So it's important that you know how to have some common Git command in your head, and use it whenever it's necessary. So there's a whole lot. So I do not think that any person could know everything, but there is the internet, and you just know the basic things, the foundation, and whenever you want to do more advanced stuff, you can always search and get help. Okay, so let's get our hand dirty. So I intentionally did this. I hope it's rhymed. First of all, let's check if we have Git. So this is how you check if you have a particular version. So what I did, I installed this when in the live class, but I had to uninstall it right now so that I can show you how to install it. Okay, so then open my CM command prompt again, and in my command prompt, if I do node dash version, we are seeing the version of Node. So this means that I have Node installed on my system. But if we do git dash version, it's telling us Git is not recognized because we have not installed Git. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do right now is to head over to our browser, search for Git download. You are going to get this. I do not want to take so much time, that's why I've opened everything. So but if you're using a Windows, you should be here. Look at the URL. If you're using a Mac, you can go back to the home page, and then you see how to install it for Mac. Yeah, so for this, you click on here, but I've already downloaded this, and I'll just head over to where I downloaded it and install it immediately. Seeing this here, once it's done downloading, you double click, wait for the setup panel to show, and hit enter. Yes, so the next thing is read this, but yeah, Git is a trusted software, so I'll go ahead to move to next. The program file, so it will be saved on our program file next. Okay, so yes, because it's showing me that because I've installed it already. Okay, so I'll just click on this to have extra additional icon and go to next. So here is where you need to set. You have to change it to Visual Studio Code, okay, for it to be your default code editor for Git. Next, go to next. next, next, next. So this fast forward or merge is kind of a moving forward thing. Is just above this course, this intro part, but it's something that you'll be using often when you are working with others. Okay, next and next. So I think there is one more to go. Okay, then install. So I'm going to pause this video here and wait for it to install, so to save time. So it's done installing. So the next thing I'm going to do is, okay, I will take this. I do not need the release notes, but I can launch the git bash so we can see how it looks like. Okay, so this is how git bash looks like. To know if git is properly installed here, we can do, okay, git -- version, and we get the version. So this is the version, so that means that git is successfully installed on our machine. Okay, so let's see how to do the basic initialization and the basic setup. But before we do that, let's set up our git. So git, like, you are not going to be working alone as a developer. You are going to be working with other person, so it's important that you set it up, let it have your name, your email, and other important basic setup you could do. Okay, alright, so let me go back to my notes I have here. So configuring git for the first time, we have to specify the name, email, default editor. Although we have done that before, but it doesn't hurt to do it. There is a flag that we need to set up. Okay, we have line ending. I'll show you all of that. So before I go on, let's talk about this. There are different levels you can configure your git. You can configure it in system level, global level, or local level. So for system level means that it's going to, like, you are going to configure it for the whole system, like the whole system, irrespective of any user or any account in that system. You are going to set it up. For the global, you are going to set it only for that current account, or current, let's say for this account I'm setting it up here, it's not going to affect any other account I have in this laptop. So for local means it's going to set up in that folder that you are working on, that current folder. Okay, sorry about that. So let's go over to, you can either use your git bash. I think I would just use git bash for this, but you can open your VS Code and then use the integrated terminal there. So, but no problem, let me use my git bash. Okay, I'll open this. Oh, sorry, I think I opened the wrong thing. I'll just quickly go here and on this one. So let me spread this out and increase it so it's visible enough for you guys. So the first thing I want to do, I think it's best that I minimize this so I can be, seeing the command here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is type git config -- global. So we are setting it like for everything in this account. Name, username. For this username, if you are going to have a space here, it's very important that you put a quotation mark. Okay, so let's say I want to set it up to where Nelson, that's my name, so I have a quotation mark. But if it is only one name, it's cool, you can just leave it that way without quotation mark. Okay, so once I'm done, I'll hit enter. It has set. So the next one is git config -- global and user .email. Okay, and then set your email. So there is no space in my email, so I will just go ahead and set it up. Email michael131@gmail.com, and it has set up. And the next one is setting up your code editor. Although we have done this, but I wanted to put this flag, this -- wait. So what that flag does is, once ever you want to edit stuff in your once you want to edit stuff, it's going to wait for you to close that instance of your Visual Studio Code, of your Visual Studio code, before you go over to the next thing. Okay, so I have git config. So here is a nice trick. Instead of typing this all the time, I can click on up arrow to get the latest stuff, the last stuff that I did, and then I can modify it. So the last one was for email, so this one I can modify it to code.editor code dash wait. So it has set. So the next one is git config. So this one is just for you to edit what you have done so far. So we are going to see all these things that we've been setting. Okay, so -a means for you to like edit. So hint, waiting for your editor to close. So like that dash wait, this is the offense. It's not going to bring up any other thing. It's going to be waiting for you. Once you are done, then you close this particular instance and then continue. So look at it here. So this is what I've done so far, and it's saved in our git config folder, and it should be in the root of our system. Okay, so this is the whole setup that I've done so far. So I've reviewed it and I'm okay with everything. I'll just hit close. So but if you notice that some certain things I have not set, but it's here, reason being that I've already set this thing up. So when I was installing it, it didn't affect this, so but it's okay. So I'll close this. Once I close this, then you see we have our terminal back for us. The next thing we are going to configure is line spacing for git. So what this is for, it's different on how Mac and Windows handle, and Linux handle. Mac, Windows, Linux, it's different how this operating system handle carriage rate, line space. Okay, so we have for Windows, I think it's carriage return, and then for Mac we have line feed. So it's different, so you have to set it to suit the particular operating system. We have git config global and set core.autocrf. And for Windows you set it to true, but if it is Mac you set it to input. So I'm on a Windows operating system, so I'll set it to true. And then the next one is git config --help. That's if you need any help on basic git config stuff, this will help you. So but I do not need that. I will close this thing up and then move over to the next thing. So the next thing I have to do is to show you the basic git command to do your first commit. So what is commit? Commit is like taking a snapshot. Like I mentioned, did I explain what snapshot is? Okay, I didn't. So snapshot is like the latest code, the latest version of your code. Okay, so taking that snapshot and it's going to save it in your repository. I've talked about what repository is. Repository is a special database for where Git stores your code. Okay, so history. So so you call the last when you take that snapshot, you call it commit when it's in the repository. Let's go over to my Visual Studio Code, because that's where I'm going to be working. I'm going to set up a basic HTML file and then do my first commit. Visual Studio Code. I'll open this, and before I open this, I think I should create a folder. So Ctrl N, and I'll name this folder my app, just the basic stuff. And that is how I love opening my Visual Studio Code. I'll right click, go to show more property, and open with code. So I made a video on how to install Visual Studio Code in case if you do not know how to do that. Okay, so I'll come here to put my index.html, just the basic stuff, and here I'll bring up my basic boilerplate, change this title to my app, and then have h1 here saying learning Git and GitHub. Okay, so right now Git doesn't know about this. We have to we have to initialize git, add git to this. Like initializing git means that it's going to like create that special repository, right? And where you can save your code, the latest version of your code and all of that. So to do that, we bring up the integrated terminal in Visual Studio Code. And by the way, this is the GUI section of the Visual Studio Code. So if it's here, so what I could do in the terminal, like git init, I can just click on this button and then it happens one touch. So I'll go over to here. I like changing this from PowerShell to Git Bash. Reason being that there are some captains that PowerShell will not handle. Some Git command that PowerShell could throw you error, but everything is covered for Git Bash. So to learn the code to initialize your Git is you do git init, and it has initialized Git for this. So here is going to turn into you and it's colorized, telling you that it's untracked. So Git is not tracking this. For Git to track it, you have to add it to a staging area. So I have a drawing on the basic workflow of Git, but I'm not going to bring it up right now until I'm done with my first commit. Okay, so what we are going to do is to add to your staging area is git add and give a space and put a exclamation, a dot, a full stop. But this is supposed to be like the name of the file, index.html. But imagine if you have other files or other folders here. So one quick way to do that is just put a dot. So this dot signify everything that should be here. Okay, and hit enter, and that's that. Okay, so right now it's telling you added, it has added, and Git is tracking this. So if I come here to do some things here, although it's not good, it's supposed to, you see it's telling me modified. So if I go back here, it's added. I just recently added it. But if I do a small change like shifting from one place to the other, it's going to tell me that I've modified this, so I should add it again. Okay, so let me just leave it this way. So whenever you modify something, you have to add it again, have to do git add full stop again. Okay, so I think everything here is okay, and then we commit. So this is what it means to commit. You do git commit -m. So this commit is this -m is a flag to put your commit message. So I'm going to put initial commit. And also in terms of giving this commit message, please always use something that is meaningful. Don't write God I beg go, or this code show me shege, something like that, something that doesn't have meaning to you. Always use a meaningful commit message. Write a meaningful commit message. It's much preferable you write what you did at that particular code. Okay, and how to write code, in my own opinion, is having working on a single responsibility as a point. So let's say that you worked on a navbar, you can easily say commit worked on implemented a navbar. So don't try to do navbar, do a sidebar, do footer all once. If you not like anything is bad, but for best practice, according to lots of developer, it's good that you face single responsibility and commit that single responsibility, go over to the next one, and that way. So now I have committed, and that's just it. So there is something I failed to do, which is showing you my Git status. So to see the status of your Git, I'm going to do another commit and then show you there. Okay, so this is Git status to know the latest status. So it's telling us on branch master there is nothing to commit. So what does branch mean? Like I have been saying, we use Git to work collaboratively with other developers, right? So it's very important that Git has a way to like separate what this person is working from another. So they do that by using branches. So they, in a particular code organization, there could be like thousands of branches having thousands of developers working independently, so your work does not totally depend on another developer. So once you are done with your own tasks, you can merge it together or pull requests. Yeah, I'm using a unfamiliarized word here. So pull requests is kind of stuff you should know when you are working collaboratively, but we are not going to cover it in this introduction class. Okay. And and merge the branch to the main one. So you could have a main branch. For instance, you can say your master is the main branch. So the branch we are currently right now is a master. So you can have another branch called Nelson updates, or maybe whatever you want to name that branch. And after you are working with that, you push it there to your branch, and then the reviewer, there should be just one person or two persons reviewing the code, and then if you find everything you did to be okay, and then to merge it to the master. Okay, so that's the workflow while working with people. So I am done here. Let me go over to explain the basic workflow on my Excalibur. So this is what I recently did. I just currently did. I have my working tree, which is my laptop, where I added the index.html here. So at this point, Git doesn't know about this. You have to initialize Git, and after initializing Git, here is the staging area. So this staging area is meant for you to review your code before you add. Okay, so I'll show you when I'm going to show you how to use the graphical user interface for Git. You are going to see how it works there visually, and once you have reviewed and see everything is okay, you add it. That's with git add, and after everything you commit with git commit dash message. So this is your repository. A matter of fact, let me show you here how to think about repository. So here we have this my app. If I open it, we just have index.html. So I turned show hidden file here. It's turned on. You can turn it off. So you go to your view, show, and then turn it on. So this is when you do git init, it's going to create this hidden repository for you. So if you open this, this is where your code is saved. But you don't have to touch this. Touching this means you are messing with git. And I think this should be your commit message. I think this is the stuff we just committed, but don't go here. This is no go zone. Okay, so let's continue. I just wanted to show you this. Let's continue. I think I'm done with everything here. Let me reiterate. So you work here, you add, and you commit. Work, add, commit. Okay, so this add is your review, and if you see everything, you commit. Okay, and you have your first version, or second commit, third commit, and these things are taking the snapshot or this screenshots. You can use screenshots of the latest changes of your code. Okay, so let's say you work here, and let's say you delete something here, you have to add it. Okay, so in the next version, if you have this here and then you deleted it in the next thing, you have to come here and add it. So it's going to come here and then tell you that it's deleted. Okay, so let's continue. Let me try to add commit another thing. So let me add index.css, or better still, let me just add index.css. Okay, just this. Okay, it's just somehow. Let me just add body background color to be black, and the text color to be white. Okay, and then link our css here, link css index.css. So these are basic. Whether you are a front end or back end, you should know this basic stuff. Okay, so for here, if you notice, I'm getting something here, our source control. So I first of all, I do not need to git initialize again because I've already initialized. So the next thing I would have done is git add. So but the first I have to review it. So right now reviewing it means this. So this was my old code and this is my latest. You see I added something new here. It's showing that for this is not going to show you, okay, it's showing you this. I had this before and then I added this, so this is it, but it's telling us on track because we have not added it. So you have to add it first and Git will start tracking it. Okay, so once you are done reviewing, you can add this. Click on this button to add and it's added. You can remove it by clicking on the stage it. So let me use the right word, stage and on stage. So you can unstage it, you can stage this one too, and once you are done staging, and if you notice this turns to A. So this A means that is added. So Git, once it's added, Git is tracking it. So in the next changes is going to see M, which is modifier. But I remember I said I want to show you Git status, so let me revert this. So on stage this and then on stage this one. So like you see this, I cannot check my Git status here, though this short abbreviation is giving it up, but you can do this on your terminal, Git status, and it's going to give you the status of this thing. So it's telling us we modified this, and it's telling us it's on tracking our index.html, and it's telling us to use git add and the file name for us to add it. Okay, so that's just it. So let me continue. Let me just quickly add this and then add this. Okay, you can even click on here to add everything together. So to go, here we have to do our git commit -m and write the commit message. But here you can just write the message and be like added index.css, something like this, and then you commit. Okay, so hit enter and then you commit, and that's all. So if you go to git status, and it's going to tell us on branch master nothing, and if you do git log -- or one line, so this command is kind of the short version. The longer version is just git log. So git log will tell you the commit and the hash code and the commit message, the name and your email. So but this one is telling us, this one line is showing us the short version. Okay, so another thing I want to mention is, you see this head always stay at the latest commit, and the latest commit is index.css, and the first commit comes last and the latest commit comes up. Okay, so to move out of this, I can just click Q and I'll exit from that. So we are done with the basic Git. The next thing we are going to do is to talk about GitHub. So but I want to create end this call is long enough. 30 minutes is too much, and then create another, start recording my screen again. Okay, so see you in the next video.